So, a very good morning to you. If we can all take our seats. I mean, you can take your seats. I shall be standing. Dear friends, distinguished guests, for those of you who were here yesterday, you don't need an introduction from me, but for those of you who weren't, a warm welcome to you all. We will have a small change. We're expecting the President of the Republic to be here at 10. So we will start by introducing Mr. Stefan Borg. Yesterday, we had the ambassador, the Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, who explained us the objectives and what the Union for the Mediterranean does. Today, we're moving to a slightly different topic, I guess, which is about the challenges the Union for the Mediterranean and the regional cooperation is facing and the way to move forward in our common house, which is the Mediterranean Sea. So I would kindly ask the first speaker to come here, Mr. Stefan Borg, the Deputy Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and it's a tough act to follow the Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, but I will do our best. Your Excellency, Deputy Minister of Civil Protection and Climate Change, Hellenic Republic, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset I wish to express my gratitude to the Presidency of the Republic of Cyprus, the Center of Excellence in Risk and Decision Sciences, CERIDIS, and the European University Cyprus for this invitation to address you all on the start of the second day of the Risk Forum. I stand here in front of you, an impressive gathering of experts in disaster management and response and risk reduction. The wealth of knowledge and ideas became clear from the presentations and interactions that were held yesterday, be it on the work done to train volunteers, or how to manage complex emergencies involving thousands of displaced people, or ideas on how to harness technology to prevent forest fires. So it is truly my privilege to share with you the UFM's perspective on a subject so salient to our member states around the Mediterranean basin and the critical need for regional dialogue and collaborative approaches in civil protection and disaster risk management. The interlinked safety, security, and climate challenges facing our region, so aptly reflected in the Nicosia Risk Forum's theme for this year, find stark validation in the findings of two MEDEC reports released last November at COP29, as mentioned already by the Secretary General yesterday. One highlighting the climate and environmental coastal risks in the Mediterranean, and the other on interlinking climate change with the water, energy, food, ecosystem nexus in the Mediterranean basin. And I believe it is worth dwelling a little bit on the findings of these reports. Their findings indicate ongoing warming of the atmosphere and the sea, exceeding global average rates, some say at 20%. Changes in rainfall distribution and continuous sea level rise. These assessments confirm the Mediterranean area as a climate change hotspot with a combination of observed and projected increases in climate hazards, coupled with high regional vulnerability and exposure. The assessments also find, among others, that regional sea level rise is projected to rise by 0.6 to 1 meter by the end of the century and will increase the risk of storm-related floods, with both hazards increasingly affecting coastal areas. It is therefore safe to say that our region is at the crossroad of risk. And the increase, frequency, and intensity of climate-induced hazards, including extreme weather events, forest fires, floods, droughts, together with non-climate hazards such as earthquakes and human-induced crises, such as industrial accidents, pollution, environmental degradation, and displacements due to conflicts, presents a complex risk landscape which is further compounded by the region's economic diversity and disparities. In this context, where diverse complex scenarios converge, the UFM is working to implement its civil protection mandate with a view to enhance regional cooperation and integration in the Euro-Mediterranean region through a collaborative framework for better prevention, preparedness and response to emergencies and disasters. The UFM Regional Dialogue Platform on Civil Protection plays a key role for fostering dialogue and partnerships, not only between UFM member states, but also with institutions, professionals, experts, civil society and the private sector, covering all aspects of crisis and disaster risk management. Intergovernmental organizations such as the UFM in all their respective regions have an increasingly key role to play in providing policy and strategy leadership, build political and administrative commitment, and tailor the sharing of resources and knowledge, approaches and tools that are adapted to local geographic, administrative, and socio-economic conditions of the region. We aim to fulfill our mandate, which was given to us by the fifth Regional Forum in 2020, meeting of foreign ministers, and reaffirmed by UFM Directors General in Valencia in 2023, through the Mediterranean Civil Protection Framework, which is envisioned to be a voluntary, non-binding association, an essential complement to the European Union Civil Protection Mechanism and its Emergency Response Coordination Center. Through this framework, we aim to bridge northern, southern, and eastern Mediterranean countries, fostering an unprecedented level of cross-border cooperation, shared resources, and rapid response capacity. While it will remain non-binding, the framework invites all UFM member states to participate according to their respective capacities and interests, with a shared mission of strengthening civil protection across the region. To operationalize this framework, the UFM has been working on the 2030 UFM Action Plan to be launched next year in 2025. This action plan reflects the outcome of a dedicated series of workshops convened over recent months on prevention, preparedness, response, and volunteerism. The 2030 Action Plan on Civil Protection serves as a roadmap to integrate our work into a unified strategy by focusing on 5 priority areas. The first priority is enhancing awareness and participation of citizens in disaster prevention, preparedness, and response in order to develop a culture of risk and resilience in the Mediterranean, and as a means to create trust and solidarity by supporting volunteerism. And the main initiative will be a regional observatory, the creation of a regional observatory on volunteerism. The second priority is enhance the Euro-Mediterranean preparedness through capacity building, including through collaborative IT platforms for dialogue, exchange of lessons learned, risk mapping, standard operating procedures, and the regional framework for early warning systems. The third priority is to strengthen regional disaster assistance in a context where disaster risk management and response capacities are increasingly being challenged and overwhelmed. It is important to develop a common language for adequate response for the proper implementation of host nation support. The fourth priority is strengthening interinstitutional cooperation and dialogue, including by developing a coherent approach to disaster risk management by enhancing capacities at local, national, and regional level. And the fifth and final priority is monitoring, evaluation, and learning through a flexible process of monitoring, evaluation, and improvement that is responsive to an ever-changing environment and in which the UFM regional platform will play a key role. Allow me to mention very briefly, as a concrete example of what we're doing, the 2024 Forest Wildfires Workshop hosted by Tunisia, where representatives from North African and Near Eastern countries collaboratively developed standard operating procedures focusing on enhancing regional wildfire response. A second edition of this workshop is set to take place in Algeria, God willing, in 2025. At this stage, allow me to pay tribute to those who have been instrumental for this work to be carried forward, among whom is Major Laurent Alfonso, among us here, who we have been lucky to have at the Secretariat of the Union for the Mediterranean, and whose shoes are still to be filled. Excellencies, dear participants, the UFM Regional Platform on Civil Protection and Disaster Risk Management will meet this afternoon to take forward work on the action plan with a focus on early warning systems, mutual support, and civil protection training. The inputs provided at the working group meeting of 20th of November have contributed to the preparation of this platform and the platform meeting, and we are very much looking forward to the discussions to be led by Anna Dorangricchia. Of course, this work is important in itself, but it is also important that platforms on civil protection and disaster risk reduction by different international and regional organizations or bilateral initiatives are connected and able to share their outcomes through a more networked approach. This interaction between platforms is already happening here at the Nicosia Risk Forum with Cerides, whose partnership we greatly value. Among our closest partners are naturally DG ECHO, and we look forward to an enhanced cooperation in the coming months as the new European Commission is installed. Finally, and no less importantly, the UFM is working on bringing an intersectional approach in the activities on disaster risk resilience in the framework of PPRD by focusing on the rights of women and persons with disabilities in emergency crisis, from planning and implementation to the monitoring stages. Inclusive multi-stakeholder engagement is essential to the success of our endeavors and aligns with our commitment to leaving no one behind. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, disaster risk management and reduction is clearly not merely a national challenge, but a shared responsibility. In the face of interconnected security risks and the amplifying effects of climate change, the escalating natural hazards, a Euro-Mediterranean regional cooperation framework based on an integrated, inclusive, and networked approach is indispensable to safeguard the well-being of our communities and enhance their resilience. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We're actually waiting for the President of the Republic to arrive. He should be arriving in the next few minutes. I was told to remind you, we did that yesterday, we told that yesterday, that in case that someone wants to have any kind of drink or whatever during the session, there is a bar outside and you can go and have anything that you like, a tea or a coffee or whatever. So, thank you very much, Mr. Borg. It's very important to highlight that, and it's one of the major things that we also do as a university, trying to make people understand how important it is, not just on a general level, but on a very specific level that has to do with the well-being of each and every one of us, that has to do with the vulnerabilities of special groups, of minorities, of vulnerable groups like women, like all sorts of people under different circumstances around the Mediterranean, which is, of course, our common home. And we do understand how important that is and how urgent it is. I think that you will also agree with me. It's quite urgent because of the situation, of the escalating situation. Every year, I will ask, later on, we'll be able to hear Mr. Triandopoulos as well. Greece has had a very tough year. This year, this summer, it was extremely tough for Greece, as for many other countries in the region. But Greece did very well, at least managed to deal with that. And in order to be able to deal with that, we have to prepare ourselves, and we have to do a lot of work so that we will all be ready to face these challenges. So as I said, quite shortly, the President of the Republic will be arriving here. He's on his way. I'm not going to change the plan in that way, because I was just told that he will be there. So if you would just ask for your patience for a couple of more minutes until he's here. Okay? Thank you. The thing is that the President has such a tight schedule that if we change it, he might not be able to stay longer. And something else which is also very important for us, but it's also important for the Mediterranean, is that Cyprus will be hosting the EU presidency in 2026, like in a year from today, which is a huge opportunity for us. It's a huge responsibility, of course, and people who are involved in this know that they've put huge effort in this. But it's a very big opportunity for us, as well as a small island nation, to present to the world and to the Mediterranean the things that we can do during those very important 6 months when Cyprus will be presiding the European Union. We did that in the past as well. It was a very successful presidency, and I'm sure that this year is going to be much, much more important, and that we'll be, of course, able to share with you all the things that will be done. Ms. Marilena Rauna will tell us, I guess, more about this in the coming minutes. Let's wait a few more minutes for the President of the Republic to arrive. I will not be introducing the President today. I think I need to pass that. I will ask George to do the introduction. Something that I wanted to say before introducing Mr. Liasidis later on is, but we can say it now, is the Amalthea project. It's something very, very important that we did. It's the first time that Cyprus managed to put together such a plan and implement such a plan. It was very difficult, and it was something, most of you might know what Amalthea is. Amalthea is a project to bring humanitarian aid to Gaza and to help the whole situation with the war in Gaza. And it was the first time that Cyprus came up with this idea and said that we will present our role in, as a partner in this area, as a country that can contribute greatly to what's happening all over the Middle East, when in need, that we can step up and we can help other countries in that way. Unfortunately, it was a project that was mocked and quite disrespected in local press. I say that as a journalist because it's a very sad thing. Mainly because no one believed that Cyprus could do such a thing. They were all like, we're not going to do it. We're going to be, it's not going to work. It's a trick for communication. Is this, as that's actually the most vocal objections to that project came from within our country. And it was a very sad thing to see because no one believed in that. Everyone was thinking that it's not going to work. Cyprus never did something like this. Cyprus is small. Cyprus doesn't have the infrastructure. Cyprus doesn't have this. Cyprus doesn't have that. Yet, the Amalthea project was a huge success. As many of you know, it was able to not only to deliver, it was able to do remarkable things. And the most important thing for Cyprus was that it managed to show that we are not a problem in the region, we're a partner in the region, a very important partner. We're not the small divided island that has a Cyprus issue and talks only about the Cyprus issue and usually becomes a problem with the Cyprus issue. We are a stable partner, a very reliable partner, a country that can help and can be the base for any kind of activities, be it humanitarian or any kind of other assistance to the area. It's, together with Israel, the only democratic, like the true democracy in every sense of the word, Western type democracy at least, in the area, and that we are a stable country, a peaceful country. Of course we have our problems and we have our problem, but that is not, it's like a frozen conflict nowadays, and that despite all that, despite the problems that we might be having, we are able to mediate, and we're able to help other countries, and we're able to do lots and lots of other things, and that was what the Amalthea project was all about. So in the end, it's a bittersweet thing to see that this project was highly successful. I hope, though I'm not very sure, that it will teach a lesson to a lot of people in Cyprus who jumped in from the very first minute to, cancel everything about this project and about the effort that was being put into this project. And I think it's the starting point for more things to come in the future, now that we ourselves know that we can do it and we can step out of our very small size as a country, and with our limited resources we can cooperate, because this was done, of course, with many other countries in the region, and with the help of the European Union, be able to deliver even such a large project on our own. At least a project that we built on our own and we were able to implement and create in the months that followed. So, we're still waiting for the president. It's the president. The president can be a bit late. It's always, he has a very busy schedule, and as I said, the only reason we're not moving anything in the schedule is because, knowing what he does, I was actually interviewing him for the Hellenic Radio Television last week, no, the week before that. He has such a busy schedule that if we move anything, he might have a problem with the rest of his obligations today. So let's wait a few more minutes for the president to be here. As I was told that he's going to be very, very soon. In the next few minutes, he's going to come. We'll have George, who I guess is waiting for him outside, to bring him in and introduce him to all of you. It's a huge honor for us to have the president here, it's also indicative of the importance that the government gives to this kind of initiatives in Cyprus and this kind of international gatherings, academic and not just academic gatherings, that have to do with civil protection and with the disaster management in the area. It's something that we're also very prone to. Many of you might have felt it yesterday. It was actually a bit funny. Many of you might have felt the earthquake, the tremor yesterday. We had actually not, it wasn't a very strong one, but we've been having a lot of seismic activity in the region, all around Cyprus over the past few days. So it's food for thought. At least it's going to be, I hope it's going to be staying at thought and not, we won't be having to do anything about it in the near future. So, as I said before, if anyone wants to grab a coffee or tea or anything, there is that one's not working now, but you can have something while we're waiting. I think we're there. There is a president. Να το φύγουμε από δαμέ, να το βάλω δίπλα. Ένα λεπτάκι για να μην εμποδίσω τον πρόεδρο. Έλα φίλε, ναι. A very warm welcome to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Christodoulidis. I will pass, as I said, this introduction. I think that George should be doing the introduction. Please, George.
I wanted to be environmental friendly, but at the same time, I'm getting older. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, Ministers, Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, dear friends from the forces, dear friends from all around the Mediterranean, the only stable parameter I recently read, let me tell you that I'm not a historian, I'm not a political scientist, but I recently read that von Bismarck said that the only stable parameter in diplomacy is geography. So, well, I think today is an excellent example of that because we are here in Larnaca today with representatives from 25 countries of our neighborhood, the Mediterranean, 27 countries in general from Europe and from the Mediterranean. So I think we are doing something right here. Actually, this is a forum, so we have an excellent opportunity. We had an excellent opportunity, and we're going to have today an excellent opportunity as well to continue our discussions that are pointing to the good of our people in our area. Let me just say that I'm very grateful to His Excellency, the Secretary General of UFM, and to DG ECHO as well, because they have been supporting our quest for the last few years. Their presence here, their commitment to promoting regional dialogue, and later, Mr. President, we have a regional dialogue on civil protection, which is administered by UFM and DG ECHO, with representatives from all the countries of the Mediterranean. An excellent example of that has been the PDX Jordan, Israel, Palestine DG ECHO-funded large-scale exercise that we conducted a few years ago. And as I said yesterday, this was in collaboration with our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the Civil Defense of the Republic of Cyprus, and we look forward to going back. We look forward for the conditions to be better and to allow to continue this professional dialogue with the countries of our neighborhood. I'm not going to talk for too long, but I just want to say something. Over the last 20 months, for the first time, Cyprus has a vision. It has a vision to become a hub for the provision of humanitarian aid, humanitarian help, and civil protection in the area. President Nikos Christodoulidis has shown his political will and has carefully managed to establish the Cyprus humanitarian corridor known as Amalthea, and later on today we're going to hear about Amalthea, the nitty-gritty and the details. Internally, not only externally, internally in Cyprus, for the first time in as many years as I can remember, there is an ambitious plan in place to build a national civil protection mechanism from scratch. I firmly believe that before the end of his first term in office, all these measures will be in place, or the vast majority of them. And without further ado, I would like to call to the podium the 8th President of the Republic of Cyprus, Dr. Nikos Christodoulidis. From the first time that we started, you have always been here, and we are very grateful to have you here today.
Good morning. My dearest friend, Secretary General of the Union of the Mediterranean, Deputy Minister of the Hellenic Republic, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ambassadors, dear friends, I'm exceptionally pleased to be part for yet another year of the Nicosia Risk Forum, this time in Larnaca, the Nicosia Risk Forum. This time in my capacity as President, but our collaboration, as George very correctly mentioned, goes back in time. First and foremost, allow me, I wish to congratulate the Forum for its commendable work over the year. Dear George, your work has rendered the Forum into a hub of regional dialogue and promotion of peace and collaboration in the Mediterranean by bringing together national civil protection authorities, international organizations, regional organizations, academics, shareholders, and local communities. And as George mentioned before, only in this year's gathering, over 20 countries' civil protection authorities are represented. And Cyprus, the Republic of Cyprus, firmly supports the efforts of the European Union and, of course, those of the Union for the Mediterranean to promote that agenda that will support our region to face the upcoming challenges of climate change. I'm very pleased to note that later today, the Union for the Mediterranean's regional dialogue platform on civil protection will take place as part of the Risk Forum with an even broader audience. Dear friends, climate change is moving with unprecedented speed. We are reaching the worst climate projections much faster than anticipated a few years ago. The recent COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, where I had the opportunity to present Cyprus' position, was a step towards a positive direction, but there is much more to do. As I mentioned at Baku, extreme weather events are impacting our ecosystems, our economies, including agriculture and tourism, our communities, and of course, the quality of life of our people. They act as a stark warning and also highlight the urgent need for decisive, coordinated action that we need to take today. We need immediate, targeted responses at both the national and, of course, regional levels. Within this context, Cyprus has taken proactive steps by implementing a national adaptation strategy since 2017. And we're currently updating this strategy to strengthen our capacity to manage complex and interlinked climate risks. Despite our small carbon footprint, Cyprus is committed to contributing to global emissions reduction. At the same time, at regional level, Cyprus recently relaunched the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East Climate Change Initiative, aiming to develop synergies to mitigate the impact of climate change with a focus on cross-border projects. The Eastern Mediterranean, and with it Cyprus in particularly, impacted by climate change. Wildland fires in ever-increasing fire seasons and extreme weather events in the autumn and winter test the limits of our civil protection system. In fact, summer 2024 was probably the hottest recorded in history. Despite these conditions, 2024 was a year marked by less fires and less area burned. Dear friends, the government of the Republic of Cyprus is committed and is taking action in building a brand new, robust and responsive national civil protection mechanism. This emerging issue of climate crisis requires, on the one hand, a vision to provide an inclusive societal safety net, and on the other hand, calls for firm action. In this respect, we are already at the transition phase of our civil defense force, moving towards becoming a modern civil protection authority that will act as a focal point and an umbrella for the first responder services established in our country. In this direction, we received technical support from the European Commission, expecting soon to have a proposed new legislation and a new organogram. At the same time, we have an ambitious plan to reinforce our aerial firefighting capacity by acquiring 10 new aerial means. A technological enforcement program is also underway with the adoption of a next generation 112 that will be our channel of two-way communication with our local communities, providing them a way to report emergencies in a comprehensive manner, and at the same time, it will give the opportunity to our national civil protection mechanism to increase its crisis management abilities and to give life-saving information to the wider public. Finally, we pay emphasis to early detection of wildfires. The first testing phase of a holistic system has been developed, and we are currently in the phase of designing a second phase that foresees the installation of a number of long-range sensors combined with aerial detection, with the use of technology, with the use of UAVs and drones. A lesson learned from the various crises we faced in the last decade is to invest in infrastructures, and this is what we intend to do. Dear friends, civil protection grows on solidarity. Civil protection can be a catalyst for regional collaboration. A fundamental pillar of our foreign policy is to engage with our neighborhood. Our response to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza prompted us to formulate, and together with our partners, the European Union, the UAE, the United States, Israel, number of Arab countries, to operationalize the Amalthea Maritime Corridor. And Amalthea is a testament to what a small country can achieve by fostering good relations with its neighbors. At the same time, during the recent midnight meeting in Paphos, given that the Mediterranean region is particularly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, including, of course, natural disasters, extreme weather conditions, and desertification, we included climate change on the agenda of the discussions between the European Union Mediterranean member states and His Majesty the King of Jordan. To address these challenges and enhance regional cooperation between our region and the countries of Southern Europe must be achieved, as well as an enhancement of the European Union Civil Protection Mechanism and the relevant crisis response fund. Our aim is to establish our country as a hub for the provision of humanitarian support in our neighborhood with the collaboration of the stakeholders and the European Commission. Another example of this cooperation is our plan to establish Cyprus as a hub for aerial firefighting. In summer 2024, we hosted Jordanian and Egyptian helicopters, and in the past, we hosted aerial firefighting means from Israel and Greece, among other countries. We will modernize and up our host nation support capacities. Dear friends, the involvement of the Arab League, the United Nations, and the continuous leadership of UFM and the DG ECHO in the Nicosia Risk Forum is a testament of our joint commitment in promoting the values of civil protection in the Mediterranean and the greater Middle East. Natural disasters knows no borders. Our common future is based on understanding that we are much better off united against the effects of climate change. Joining powers with a sense of urgency is our primary aim. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, as I said earlier on, Greece has been facing a very tough summer. Greece is investing a lot in dealing with the climate change and in facing the huge challenges. They become bigger and bigger and more unpredictable every year. We are very happy to have here with us today and to welcome the Deputy Minister for Climate Crisis, for Civil Protection and Climate Crisis of the Hellenic Republic, Mr. Triandopoulos.
Thank you very much, dear President of the Republic of Cyprus, dear Secretary General, dear Professor Mr. Bousras. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the opportunity to participate to a very interesting event. Nicosia Risk Forum is a high-level event with strong international dimension and impact. An event on a hot topic, the hottest topic of our times and our future. Climate crisis. Climate crisis, the new difficult reality for us and for our children. A new reality with a lot of uncertainties and risks related to natural disasters. Natural disasters, as the President previously said, as a result of mega fires, forest fires, extreme weather phenomena, and floods. Someone could or would wonder, natural disasters are something new. No, we had disasters from mega fires, from mega floods during the past. However, natural disasters were not so severe and so frequent, so often. A severe phenomenon and a major disaster that a decade ago could be characterized with not a robust documentation, unfortunately, as an once in a century or once in a millennium phenomenon, nowadays may occur twice in a month or 3 times in a 3-year period. Unfortunately, in Greece, we had this kind of cases. In the region of Thessaly, central Greece, in 2020, the storm Ianos, a cyclone, a medicane, once every 100 years, some experts said then. 3 years later, 2023, Daniel storm of Daniel, another Mediterranean tropical-like cyclone. Once every 1,000 years, some experts said back then, or 4 times the Ianos storm, but 3 weeks later, we had Elias storm, a storm as severe as was the previous Daniel storm and more, in 3 weeks. These are the characteristics of the climate crisis, unfortunately. Extreme weather phenomena and circumstances more severe and more often than before. More hazards, more uncertainties. Dear friends, Mediterranean, South Europe, Greece, Cyprus, our region is the hot spot of the climate crisis. So, what we had to do in Greece? What we had to do in Greece was to adjust our policy, our strategy to the new circumstances. And this is what we did. Under the guidance of the Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, a new ministry was established, the Ministry of Climate Crisis and Civil Protection, under Minister Vasilis Kikilias nowadays. And a new civil protection policy is followed and implemented as a national priority. A new policy based on prevention, awareness, warning, quick response, strengthening of manpower, new means and instruments, leadership, close coordination, digitalization, and surely strong international cooperation. A new policy that also includes the largest procurement program for the enhancement of civil protection mechanism with a budget that exceeds 2 billion euros. Dear friends, our strategy is a holistic one. Along with civil protection, we have established a new framework for the recovery and the restoration after natural disasters. This is my portfolio. We have established kratiki arrogi, the Greek words for help, for aid of the state, for those in need after natural disasters. Grants in households, in enterprises, in farms for their recovery. And also extra funding for the restoration of infrastructure and networks. Our annual budget is 600 million euros coming from the national state budget. However, in a period of large-scale natural disasters, national budget resources are going to be under pressure, as you can understand. For instance, the cost of recovery and restoration after the storm of Daniel is estimated around 3.5 billion euros. 2/3 of this amount is coming from EU funds and EU funding instruments after Prime Minister Mitsotakis' efforts in Brussels. So, on the one hand, it's crucial to increase the private sector involvement, private sector in participation, meaning the expansion of private insurance. As we speak, a draft law is introduced in Greece with provisions with compulsory or quasi-compulsory insurance provisions on cars, enterprises, and houses. On the other hand, more funds from the EU are needed to deal with the negative impact of the climate crisis. The EU Solidarity Fund cannot substantially support EU member states to recover and restore after a natural disaster, unfortunately. For instance, the fiscal impact of the plan for the recovery and restoration after the 2020 Ianos storm in Thessaly is estimated to around €500, the fiscal impact. The funds related to the Ianos storm coming from the EU Solidarity Fund reached only €22 million. 500 million, 22 million is a very small amount. Dear friends, large problems, EU problems, need EU solutions, and we are working on that. Currently, we are discussing on a new proposal from the European Commission about the disaster response. The Restore regulation proposal, a significant step forward in enhancing the EU's ability to respond quickly and effectively to natural disasters. Restore offers member states financial relief and flexibility in order to react fast. It is an initiative that underscores European Union's solidarity in times of crisis. Greece has actively supported this initiative, this proposal, and we are determined to make the best possible use of Restore to address the frequent and severe disasters, to rebuild communities, to enhance climate resilience, and to safeguard lives and livelihoods. Restore is a significant step. However, more steps are needed to follow, as big and common problems need big solutions and close cooperation. Thank you very much.
So, we had a short break. I apologize for that because the president had to talk to Euronews, and I think now the minister is also talking to Euronews, but we can proceed. So, to help our colleagues as well to do their job. So, as we said before, Amalthea was a very important project because it was the first time that Cyprus undertook such a huge effort and a responsibility, and it went well. I won't say more. I will ask the Assistant Director of the Civil Protection of Cyprus, Mr. Iliasidis, to come here and explain to us what this Amalthea project was all about. Mr. Iliasidis, I was looking for you actually. I was thinking I lost you somewhere.
Κώστα, ξέρεις πού είναι η παρουσίαση? Πού είναι ο Χριστός στην παρουσίαση? Τώρα να δούμε πού θα δούμε. Να δούμε πού θα δούμε. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning from my side as well. So I will say a few words about the Amalthea plan. You heard already many information, but I will give you more details. So I will say about the content is the Amalthea Initiative, the Cyprus Maritime Corridor, the Cyprus Logistical Hub establishment, humanitarian aid preparation phase, operational phases, statistics, current status, challenges, best practices, conclusion of lessons learned, and the EU reflections. So, Amalthea initiative was an initiative from our president, Mr. Christodoulidis. It is a mechanism for, in order to bring more aid through the sea to Gaza. And then we're working with many other stakeholders, like the UN Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza, European Union DG ECHO, other international governmental and non-governmental organizations, the Israeli authorities, Cyprus involved services under the coordination of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the preparation for the the preparation for the procedure started at the beginning of the year, and then on 28th of March, the hub was ready and started officially. More than 50 persons from different services are involved in this effort. So we can see Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Civil Defense, Ministry of Defense, National Guard, Joint Rescue Coordination Center, Ministry of Transport, Ports Authority, Department of Customs, Cyprus Police and Marine Police, the Cyclops, and the Deputy Ministry of Shipping. The establishment of the hub started with the request of assistance in CESIS from United Nations. Then Republic of Cyprus started the establishment. The aim was to collect all the humanitarian assistance in Cyprus, and then from here to arrange the shipping to Gaza. There is a funding actually from EU, and we had also offers for scanners from Italy. We had one, which is the scanner is still here, and we had also offers for 2 scanners from Germany. So here you can see the preparation phase. So the first step is the decision, the political decision, let's say, from one country or one organization to offer assistance. Then the next step is to register this assistance in the UN platform 2720. Then is the acceptance by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Israeli authorities, and the UN. Then for them UCPM countries, there is a need to the offers to be registered in CESIS, then to have the acceptance, and then the shipping to Cyprus. So the three operational phases, the first one is, as we said earlier, to receive the assistance here in Cyprus, then from the entry points, then to transfer the assistance in the exit points, like the Larnaca or Limassol port. Then we have to make the security inspection, the screening and the scanning, and afterwards to load the assistance on a vessel. Next one is the sailing to Gaza, and the final one is the landing to a safe point, the unloading, the transfer to a safe storage area, and last step is the distribution to the affected population. Here we have some statistics. I will not go to all these details, just to say that we have, up to October, almost 22,000 pallets. The current status, now the base of operations moved to Limassol port from last week. We did already the screening and the scanning, and then we have almost 1,200 pallets ready for loading. We are waiting the arrangements for the ship, and we hope very soon we'll have this shipment to Ashdod and then from there to Gaza. The Italian scanner will stay up to end of March in Cyprus. Challenges. As they mentioned earlier, it was something new for us, so we have to start from the beginning. There were no SOPs from EU, from the GECO, so it's something we discussed with them, and then it's in our plan to contribute in order to create SOPs for the next, let's say, hubs in the future. We had a video teleconference with the Polish, the Slovakian, and the Romanian hubs in order to get experience from their side. And then the tender preparation for logistics, we had to do it in a very short period. Our commander knows very well. So on best practices, it was, we decided that we will not, let's say, hire additional staff, but the project team will be from CCD staff, which it was a very good decision at the end, because we didn't have to pay additional cost or standby cost. So we paid only for the services and the expenses that we had, nothing else additional. We had a flexibility from the shipping and handling companies because they gave to us credit invoices, so we don't have to wait, let's say, 2-3 days to arrange the payment and afterwards to receive the assistance, so which it was very good. And then we had daily meetings in Xenon Coordination Center, which is a very nice place with excellent facilities. Conclusions and lessons learned. So if the packing is good from the sending country, it's much more easier for us in order to save time and money, because if you send loose cargo, it's very difficult and the expenses are much more. There is a need, as we mentioned earlier, for SOPs that will be helpful for future hubs. There was an excellent cooperation between the involved services, in local level, in EU and international. And then we had a great support from EU and also the funding, and we have to give many thanks to the liaisons that we had here in Cyprus. Some reflections from the EU side. There was an article in the last Knowledge Network newsletter recently, and then we can see some comments from Mr. Lenarčič, the for the last 5 days commissioner. I welcome the support of Cyprus through an EU logistics hub established there. And then the maritime corridor can only be part of a sustained effort to search humanitarian aid and commercial commodities into Gaza through all possible routes. Some reflections from the liaisons officers we had here from March up to September for 345 days in total presence of EU liaison officer here in Larnaca, which it was very helpful for us. And then they offered to share their insights, highlighting the invaluable 24/7 support from the ERCC and the strong teamwork on the ground among the unique civil-military coordination in humanitarian assistance in delivering critical assistance to Gaza. Then another 2-3 comments. The overall planning of the maritime corridor was a dynamic and complex process, switching from political discussions to logistics in a minute, gathering information from various actors, gaining their trust and recognition, and then the last comment, navigating different mindsets, culture, and organizational backgrounds to exchange information. These are the comments from the liaisons officer. Are there any questions? Very short presentation, but I hope that I gave you all the information about the logistical hub. I cover mostly the civil protection from the civil protection point of view, the hub, not the political, let's say, side. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iliasidis, for the very interesting presentation. This is what happens when you don't have your glasses with you. But, there she is. So, we are very happy to be joined by the Deputy Minister for European Affairs, Ms. Marilena Rauna. I think she needs no introduction apart from the fact, as I told you before, that Cyprus will be hosting the EU presidency, will actually take over the EU presidency in a year's time, in 2026. So I am very sure that Ms. Rauna has a lot of things to share with you, so I'll not say anything more. Please.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Excellencies, Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, Dr. Boustras, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that I join you today. I'm very much honored to have this opportunity to address this critically important and timely forum on strengthening the disaster resilience of the Mediterranean region. Allow me first and foremost to express my sincere appreciation to the Saridis Center of Excellence in Risk and Decision Sciences of the European University of Cyprus and to its director, Dr. Georgios Boustras, for co-organizing, together with the Presidency of the Republic, this significant gathering. I also want to acknowledge the presence and vital contributions to this forum of the Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, Mr. Kamel, and the Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Borg, which further underscore the importance of this event and the theme at hand. Since its inception in 2018, the Nicosia Risk Forum has established itself as a crucial platform for dialogue and cooperation on safety, security, and disaster resilience in Southeastern Europe and the wider Mediterranean region. Today's forum takes place under the auspices of His Excellency, President Christodoulidis, whose earlier remarks highlighted the importance that our government attaches on strengthening safety and security across the Mediterranean region and the linkage between these issues in the region and the European Union itself. The importance of the theme of this year's forum cannot be overstated. The Eastern Mediterranean and the wider Middle East are currently navigating unprecedented challenges, from natural disasters to climate change to the humanitarian crisis and the escalating security threats. These challenges are further exacerbated by geopolitical tensions, the ongoing Russian aggression against Ukraine, the crisis in the Middle East that impact the stability of our Europe, but they also at the same time impact the stability and security of Europe itself, and Cyprus sees these as communicating vessels. We are deeply concerned by these challenges being an integral part of this region. By virtue of its geography, Cyprus's security is inextricably linked to the security of its Middle Eastern partners and the broader region. And yet, amid such challenging times, Cyprus also sees opportunities to deepen our partnerships, to deepen multilateralism, further strengthening our country's role as an enabler and pillar of stability and security. In the midst of instability and war, Cyprus has stood determined to be consistently part of the solutions to the region's challenges. From fulfilling our moral obligation to the region and delivering the Amalthea Maritime Corridor as a supplementary route for the delivery of aid, to acting as an evacuation hub during conflicts, for example, most recently in Sudan and the Middle East, Cyprus has consistently demonstrated its commitment to regional stability and cooperation, and it is a commitment we will continue to uphold and strengthen in the future. As Minister for European Affairs, I wish to emphasize Cyprus's unique position as the European Union's member state, geographically located in the Middle East, the southeasternmost corner of the European Union, the EU's anchor in a turbulent sea, its bridge to a region of opportunity. This position brings both a profound responsibility and a significant opportunity, as I said. Since joining the European Union in 2004, this year is a milestone year for us as we complete 20 years since the historic fifth enlargement of the European Union. Cyprus has actively served as a bridge between Europe and the region. In the face of today's pressing challenges, this role has become even more essential, and it is a role that we intend to leverage and exert during our presidency of the Council of the European Union in the first half of 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mediterranean region is one of the areas that demand one of the most coordinated action. Climate change is perhaps one of the most pressing issues, as our region is one of the most vulnerable in the world. Rising temperatures, water scarcity, extreme weather events, and the desertification are already impacting our societies, our economies, and our ecosystem with profound social impact. Recognizing the gravity of these consequences, the Republic of Cyprus has taken proactive steps through initiatives such as, and I'm certain reference was made during today and the past days, such as the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East Climate Change Initiative, relaunched by the government under the leadership of President Christodoulidis. The initiative, led by the Cyprus Institute, serves as a powerful example of how we can work together regionally with our partners across borders to tackle common challenges, to address one of the greatest crises of our time. And I think in recent years, if there is one thing that has become glaringly apparent, is that the nature of the crisis we face, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's climate change, not one state can manage them or address them on their own. They require coming together, collaboration, and multilateralism. In this regard, at the recent Med9 Summit for the Mediterranean, which was hosted in Paphos, we underscored the importance of Mediterranean cooperation with an emphasis on tackling climate change, on enhancing energy security, but also addressing migration. And we reaffirmed the critical role of the Mediterranean countries in shaping Europe's strategic priorities. And the timing was also important for the summit, for the Med9 Summit, as we are entering the new institutional and legislative cycle of the European Union, and we are at a time when we are defining as European Union our priorities in the framework of the strategic agenda, which was agreed by the European Council in June 2024. The participation at the Med9 Summit of His Majesty the King of Jordan highlighted the importance that we attach, but also that the EU is increasingly attaching on deepening the EU's engagement with the region, but also the strategic value of partnerships such as that with Jordan, such as that with Egypt, countries that are truly pillars of stability in the region. At the same time, the Mediterranean security landscape has become increasingly complex, with threats ranging from maritime security, and this also stems from the developments of our regions that has an impact on maritime security in the Red Sea, for example, organized crime and irregular migration. Recent attacks, such as those by the Houthis on vessels in the Red Sea, have disrupted freedom of navigation and maritime trade, exacerbating economic and security concerns. Cyprus has taken a proactive role in addressing these challenges. It has been working closely on regional security, including maritime security, with regional and international strategic partners, the USA being one of them. The Cyprus Center for Land, Open Seas and Port Security, established in Larnaca in collaboration with the United States, serves as a model for regional cooperation. This state-of-the-art facility enhances our capabilities in a range of issues such as maritime security, cybersecurity, and crisis response. And it has strengthened the position of Cyprus as a hub for regional security. At the European level now, initiatives such as the recently revised EU Maritime Security Strategy provide the European Union with a robust framework for addressing evolving security challenges and protecting its interests at sea. By enhancing EU activities at sea, building partnerships in this field with like-minded countries, and developing collective resilience, the strategy ensures that the EU remains a strong and capable actor in the important field of maritime security. Moreover, under its common security and defense policy, the European Union has also launched the Aspides mission, the first ever EU mission operating in a very demanding environment. EUNAVFOR Aspides contributes to safeguarding maritime security, especially for merchant and commercial vessels in the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, and the Gulf. Cyprus is proud to contribute to this mission, which strengthens efforts to ensure a safe, secure, and efficient maritime transport. This increasingly challenging nature of security issues requires, as I have mentioned, coordinated international efforts behind a common vision. The EU can and must be at the forefront of these efforts, leveraging its resources, and we are entering a period in the European Union where the new multi-annual financial framework for the next 5 years will be negotiated, and which needs to reflect the strategic priorities of the European Union and the overall goal for the European Union's strategic autonomy. Cyprus, in this context, will remain a strong and reliable voice regionally and in Brussels. The European Union, and indeed the world, in these turbulent waters, it's always important to remember that we are facing, the European Union is facing war on two sides of its borders, on the eastern border, but also in its southeastern border. We have the Russian aggression against Ukraine, and we have the crisis in the Middle East. These are conflicts that have triggered widespread disruptions, including, as I have said, economic and energy instability, migratory pressures, and Cyprus knows this all too well. We are one of the frontline member states of the European Union as regards migration, as well as issues such as the instrumentalization of migration. Despite these challenges, and I know that this can be a point of constructive argument, my position is that the EU has proven that it can deliver, and it has delivered. At the same time, we are cognizant of the fact that now is the time, with a sense of urgency, to put the building blocks for a stronger, more resilient, more competitive, and more strategically autonomous union that delivers more for its citizens and for the world. Therefore, the question at hand, and one that resonates deeply within the context of this forum as well, is how do we tackle effectively this crisis together? How do we, as countries, as a region, as the European Union, develop solutions, collective responses to issues that transcend borders? And how does the European Union lead the way in building this resilience and driving effective action? I believe that today's discussions are an opportunity to explore these questions in this broader context. Cyprus, as we prepare to assume the presidency of the Council of the European Union in the first half of 2026, the second time in our history as a member state of the European Union, we are committed to play our part in paving the way to solutions. As we look ahead to Cyprus' presidency, we are committed to ensuring that our region remains a top priority on the European agenda. For too long, our region has not received the attention that it deserves in Brussels. I believe that this is changing. There is now a growing understanding that what happens in our region, whether it's a security crisis, whether it's issues such as climate change, it has a direct and immediate impact on the European Union as a whole. Recent developments reflect this shift. The visits of President Christodoulidis and the President of the European Union Commission to Egypt and Lebanon, as well as the appointment, for example, of a commissioner for the Mediterranean in the new Commission, demonstrate the EU's focus on the region and stand in recognition of the importance of engaging with the region as equal and true partners, adopting a holistic, strategic approach that serves the interests of all parties involved, of the European Union, but also of our partners. During the Cyprus presidency, as part of the trio presidency, together with Poland and Denmark, which begins in less than a month, on the 1st of January 2025, Poland, our first trio partner, assumes the presidency. We will work through concrete initiatives to strengthen the EU's relationship with the southern neighborhood and the Gulf, fostering deeper partnerships and advancing the EU's role as a global actor. We will advocate for a credible and coherent response to the challenges of the region. Moreover, recognizing the importance of fostering stronger and more strategic partnerships, our presidency will focus on enhancing the EU's cooperation with the Gulf Cooperation Council, building on the outcomes of the first historic EU-GCC summit, which took place in October. within this framework of working, of enhancing relations between the EU and the Southern Neighborhood and the Gulf, issues that relate to climate change, renewable energy sources, crisis response, issues such as water resilience and water management are issues, and maritime security are issues that we have identified both in the framework of the TRIO program, which will be adopted on the 17th of December and will be presented then, but also we will build on those issues during our own presidency in the first half of 2026. I will end my intervention there. I want to thank once again the organizers. I look forward to collaborating with you also in the context of the preparations for our presidency, and I want to assure you that these are issues that we place very high on the European agenda. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for your presence, your attention, and your patience. Now we will have a coffee break, which will be there. We will be back at 12 to continue. Thank you so much for being here. Have a nice day.